As you're relaxing all the way back into your hammock, let your breath start to flow for a moment, especially when we have classes a little bit later in the day. Oftentimes, it's almost like we have our brain is a bucket, and the bucket's been completely filled with so many thoughts today. So many things on our to-do list, so many things we have to try to remember. And so, as we're here, imagine because we're laying back, we've kind of tipped our bucket over backwards, and all those thoughts, we get to watch them spill out. We can leave a little bit of room in the bucket, a little bit of water in the bucket, because you can't ever completely get rid of thoughts, but at least it's not as full. The thoughts that are going on are not quite so crazy. And so in doing that, and then including these deep, full breaths, we just feel really open, really receptive, really happy to create change in our body. So the idea that I want us to leave in the back of our mind today is the idea of periphery. So we're going to be stretching especially through some of the farther reaches of our hips and our shoulders, our waist, our ribs, all those goodies. And so imagine it's almost like peripheral vision. If you just focus on the vision in front of you, you have tunnel vision. Sometimes that tunnel vision can be useful, but sometimes tunnel vision takes us away from the big picture. So just leave that idea of the peripheral vision and the peripheral, just everything in the back of our mind. And we're trying to search for how that symbolism fits us in our system right now. And so with this idea of periphery, and that's being our focus today to lead us on, let's begin some of the initial stretches. Stretch the arms all the way to the back wall. Begin to let the shoulders go right and left. So just a good stretch that way, right and left. A good stretch first for those ribs. Go ahead and start unrolling it. I'm going to go left. Oh, sorry. So maybe one more time to each side. Are we high or we low? Bring your hands onto the inside. And slide your hands just a little bit wider. Okay, so from here, if you're ready, start to take your right knee into the chest. And then do a couple of ankle rolls. Just kind of hug around that knee. Give it a good moment. Go ahead and check it in just so I can, because you've been here before. Yeah. Do you want me to go even lower? I think they'll do it. That's not too bad. Okay, go on. Do you remember all the steps? So waving it out. Good. And then hook your thumbs, about 5 grips. This right leg can start to stretch up to the sky. Head on in. Good. So yeah, right leg up to the sky. Just give it that good stretch all the way upward. And then this right foot hooks all the way on that back left edge. So this sets it up kind of like a pigeon pose. So if you need to look in the mirror, kind of see what I'm doing. Yeah. You got it. Just hook around your shin, hug it in. Gives it a really good stretch for that hip. So notice that hip is another one of those peripheral areas. So the very outer area, we can feel the hip, we can feel the IT band, all sorts of good things stretching. Good, keep that breath flowing. Deep cycles in and out. Sometimes that deep breath is all it really takes for us to get deeper into that periphery, deeper into the side ribs, deeper into the hip, just relaxing deeper and deeper. Good, so let's take another huge breath cycle in. With our exhale, free out the right leg, maybe give it a stretch up to the sky. Then drop it all the way down. Start to take the second knee into the chest. Hugging it in. Maybe we're doing some nice ankle rolls with that right foot. When you're ready to let that leg stretch up to the sky, let it begin to expand upward. Try to include all those fibers on the back side of the leg. Good, a nice inhale. Exhale, hook the heel over all the way to that back leg. Once it's there, slide the shin in. Good. Keeping this breath flowing, let's take another good round all the way in and out. Free out the leg. Drop it all the way down. Let's leave the legs inside for just a moment. Grabbing onto the fabric, let's sit up. And then bring your hands forward toward your toes so that you're stretching over both straight legs together. Sometimes at the beginning of class, this is really tight, so maybe we're letting the knees be a little bit bent, kind of hugging around the shins, rounding in. Or maybe we're trying to get into those hamstrings, trying to let those hamstrings and the legs straighten out as much as possible. So choose that perfect amount. We're taking just a few more breaths. Imagine in this moment, it's almost like the low back is one of those peripheral areas. We don't always pay attention to it. We definitely can't see it, but it speaks to us even without being right there in the center of our attention. So keep the breath all the way down into the belly. 2 more cycles. Good. After that last one, the spine can begin to rise back up. Don't feel like you have to rush it out. Take it easy. And then feet can begin to kick off the front end. From here, let's give our spine a chance to hang upside down. So hands along the outside. We're grabbing our thumbs and hooking the thumbs on the back side of the fabric. This helps to bring the fabric to the back side of the pant line. So once we keep it there, lean halfway back and then grab onto the fabric. Then our last step, legs go wide so we won't pull out. And then wrap your ankles. Once you're there, you can release the hands and just let the spine have some time to drop down. If it feels like the fabric isn't on the perfect spot of your back, you can always come out, readjust where the fabric is falling, and then come back into it. Sometimes just a simple readjustment makes all the difference. It makes this pose so much more profitable for our body. So usually I'll try to keep my hands just really relaxed so that way I'm not adding extra tension to my shoulders. And know that there's no competition. Some people in this class will stay upside down in the inversion longer than others. And some of us will want to come out sooner than others. And so all of that's acceptable. We're listening to our bodies, and then our bodies are telling us what that perfect amount is. So only when you feel ready to come out, you'll just grab on and rise out. But if you want to be here longer, I'm going to give you plenty of time. So you're welcome to go in and out. You're welcome to practice a couple of rounds of it. You're welcome to keep on adjusting, anything you need to help you out. It's fun, huh? Yeah, so if you wanted to give your head just like a little bit of time, and then if you wanted to go back in, that's fine, up to you. So no rush. Those that are still upside down, I'll give you a little bit more time. Those of us that have come up, we come into this restorative pose where we hook our elbows and then kind of just wiggle our shoulders forward. So it's almost like the feeling of a child's pose where you're just resting down, the torso down onto the thighs. So when you get here, this is so nice, not only for that back stretch, but also sometimes the neck is tight. So sometimes I'll purposely let the head rock a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. So just play with it, find that perfect amount. Perfect. So by this point, it looks like we're all pretty much out. So let's give it maybe 2 or 3 more breaths in case, just for those that just got up. Good. And starting to set up. Let's take a little stretch for our shoulders. This will be perfect because the shoulders are one of those peripheral areas too that we don't always include. So let's clasp hands behind our back. And then we're shifting our hands over to the right hip. And then right ear drops over right shoulder. This will start to stretch that whole left side all the way around the shoulder, all the way up to the neck. Just listen to your body. If your body wants you to tilt the head slightly forward or slightly backward of the shoulder, you have my permission. Do whatever is helpful. Good. Eventually head comes up, hands over to the left hip, and then left ear down. And again, if you wanted to adjust forward or backward, anything that will help you out, take it. Go ahead and take another good inhale. Deep exhale, head can rise, free out the hands. Let's continue to rotate all the way to a twist. So let's bunch up the hands toward the front door. And then the shoulder that got turned to the back wall, continue to open that hand to the back wall or circle the hand all the way around the back side of the head. Yep, just like that. So this starts to spiral the rest of our spine into this, but pay attention to some of the peripheral areas. So pay attention to the ribs especially, and even kind of the sides of the neck. Notice how those areas can be brought into the twist too. It's like we're including the belly button, and doing that, we feel new things. It's not just forcing the spine to twist, but it's like the muscles themselves are starting to expand. Another good breath in. Nice exhale. And then free out your hands. Bunch up fabric to the second side. The shoulder that starts to turn to the back wall, open that one, or you can circle that hand around the head. Good, another deep inhale. Exhale. And return. And we're just gonna take 2 or 3 stretches deeper inside the fabric. So bunch up the side that helps to face you to me the easiest. So it'll be some of us left, some of us right. Once you've bunched that up, lock. So just to switch sides over to this one. There you go. That'll help you see me better. Okay, so then lock your arms straight. And then the leg that just started to get lifted, swing that leg all the way up and over. Good. Just 2 or 3 stretches with both feet inside. So take the legs in, extend the legs straight. Both of them. So as the hands push outward into the fabric, it helps the legs stretch wide. This is a really good peripheral area. It stretches inner and outer thighs. Try to engage the core, keeping the spine just a little taller. Another good inhale. And then exhale, slide your right hand down the right leg. The left hand will also come up and over to that side. And this starts to ease us into the side ribs, into the shoulder, all sorts of goodies. So see if you can stay in that long, leaning position, maybe 2 or 3 breaths. And rising up. Slide left hand on left leg, right arm up and over. Good, rising up. Give it a moment for both feet to come together to touch. Nice meditative state. I'll usually rest the forehead forward or the back of the head backward. And notice how our vision is here. As we're inside the fabric, our vision is very limited. We can only see so much. This is kind of what it's like with that tunnel vision. When everything else is blocked out, we can only really clearly see a couple of things. So that's why we start to include more of the peripheral, making it so that we have much more to go off of. Our vision is wider, our world is wider. We don't have to focus quite so hard, we just naturally and passively receive. So just letting the body rest here. We'll take a couple more deep belly breaths. If we still have things that are like the worries of the world resting in our head, maybe use that exhale to allow those things to come out of our system. Making it so our stretches are even more deep because our energy is much more expansive. 2 more breaths. Good, and then as we start to sit back up, take the feet out. The fabric goes back down toward the knees. The leg that's forward, the one that's closer to the mirror, you're going to take that shin up onto the fabric that's right in front of you. Once it's up, we're in that good hip, outer thigh area. So if you need more, hug around it to pull the heart in. If it's already pretty deep, just kind of lean back. That makes it a little easier. Now bunching the fabric up, place the arch of your foot onto the fabric, and then begin to straighten the leg up as much as it wants to go. Good inhale. Exhale, release. Second shin comes up. Maybe give it a hug. Deep inhale. Exhale, stamp this foot. Slide it up. Take another deep cycle all the way in, all the way out. Breathe this leg out. This will be back to the front. And then when we're facing back forward, let's grab on with our hands and then lift our hips all the way up and out. So next time just grab on and that'll make it easier because you can have something to grip onto. So yeah, no worries. Okay, so leave the fabric over your shoulders like this. And then circle the fabric around the head and all the way in a circle. And then another full circle. So you've got a loop around the wrist and then a loop into the hands. From here, start to lean the hips back. As you start to really sink the weight backwards, this pulls a nice stretch on the spine. So we'll start to take a circle. You can choose one side. Gonna take a long lean through all that lateral body. Eventually go forward, over to the other side, and back. And sometimes our hands can handle another circle or two before we need a break. When your hands need a break, just take the fingers out to wiggle for a moment. And just keep on going. If you're doing a few more circles in this direction, eventually we'll all take a break so that we can switch sides. Good, so if we've taken a break, it feels pretty good. Lean back. And when you're ready to switch sides, start to circle around. Taking that nice, easy stretch to all directions. Keep on going until your hands need another break, and then you can take them out, shake them. We'll come all the way outside the fabric. Good, and let's take a hip hang. So the fabric is now in front of us. We're bringing the fabric across the hip bones. Even if we have to rise up on our tippy toes to get there, we want to make sure we're not in the guts. That would be so much more uncomfortable. So as long as we're across hip bones, take another step or so forward and then start to lean your weight forward. That will take the slack out of the fabric. Drop hands down. Take several, 2 or 3 good steps backwards until your hips are under plumb line again. Then from there, as long as the massage across the hips is not too intense, maybe you start to lift your toes, hugging around the shins. If the massage is intense, just stay in the down dog. You can kind of even push into the ground to lift the hips away from the fabric a little bit. That'll be just nice, easy massage, easy release. Good. You can take breaks, come in and out. We'll be here for a little while. Inversions, I like to give people plenty of time, the people that want to be there. But that being said, same rule as all other inversions. If you know that you need to come out sooner, you can come out. Just keep on enjoying it while it still feels good. Know that if the massage is intense today, it gets better over more time. So, so if you feel like you're ready to be out, you'll just lean back into the fabric. But if you want to try a couple more times, you're welcome to just be in and out. Just keep on playing with it as long as it's still feeling good. Sometimes while I'm doing this resting pose, and if you're still upside down, no rush, you can still be there until you're ready to be out. But sometimes when I'm resting back like this, I'll take my hands to support the weight of my head, and then I'll bend to one knee, and then kind of lean to that side. And then straighten that leg, bend to the other knee, leaning. Good. Sometimes that gets again into some of those good peripheral areas, some of that deep stuff. Good, so it looks like we're all out. What I want us to be doing is facing forward with the same fabric right catching us. So take the fabric under your shoulder blades, so that way there's a little bit of space in between the armpit area. If you're hanging by the armpits, that kind of cuts off the circulation really quickly. So this will give us a little bit more time to work with. But what we're doing is taking our feet just under the metal pieces. So it's not as far as you think. It's kind of like at that shadow line, kind of right about there. And so keep your knees super soft, and similar to the circles we did earlier, you're gonna do whole hip circles. So you go all the way forward and around. So maybe go for like 5 or 6 to one direction. Sometimes this one's nice because I'll get little pops out of my spine. It's kind of fun. Good. And then when you're ready to switch sides, just pause for a moment and take a few circles to the other direction. Maybe one more. And pause all the way at the back. Take a few steps back. Free yourself out of the fabric. Fabric's in front. And then grip onto the fabric about as wide as your shoulders. Once we're there, this will feel good after that pressure, that kind of massage under the shoulder blades. We're gonna start bending forward. So arms go forward, hips go back. Just feel that leg. Sometimes I'll do cat-cows here, just rounding the spine up and down. Other days I'll kind of wag my tail, so I'll sway a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, even the arms can sway. So just find those tight spots through the periphery. So the spots on the hips, the spots on the ribs, the spots on the shoulders. When you're happy there, you can bend the knees, roll all the way back up. And what we'll do is wave out the fabric so that we can take the right leg and have the leg covered up by a lot of fabric. So once it's pretty waved out, nothing's really doubled over, you'll take your right leg in and then continue to bring the fabric up to the thigh area. You'll notice right away if you're standing too far back because it's like you're fighting against the fabric, and you can even see the lines pull toward you. So if you need to hop forward, You'll notice that perfect spot where the leg kind of just floats in the fabric. So that's the spot that we're looking for. Once you find that placement, dive both arms through the center of the fabric, and then bend your elbows and push your elbows out into each side, left and right. This will start to lift the leg up in front of you. You're welcome to lean forward. This brings the thigh right up to your heart, a really good stretch. Nice inhale. Exhale. And rising up. So from here, your left hand, is going to grab the fabric on the left side at your heart area. Your right hand goes on that same left strand all the way up high. So once you have the grip on those two sides, then you'll turn your toes open to the left, so you should be facing toward the back door. So from here, we can start to bend at the waist. It's like a 90-degree forward fold. Slide your hands down the fabric. If you want to drop left hand to the floor, you can do that. You also have an option if you touch the floor. You could pop your hands forward a foot or so, and then lean your weight just a little bit deeper into the fabric. Just like that. Another good breath in and out. Bring your weight back over your standing leg. Grip your left hand on if you dropped it down. And then sometimes I'll do a little spring action. I'll bend that standing knee and then kind of pop my body up. Good. Once you're up, face forward. And this next one, you'll want the fabric to go all the way up to the glute. So if it's not covering glute, go ahead and scoot it all the way. And then bend that knee. So the knee swivels out to the side, the toes tuck in. Hands dive through the fabric, shoulders all the way forward. Once we're here, a little toe stretch. The toes on the ground, lift them up for a moment. Stretch your foot as far back as it can reach. And then I like to rock forward on my toes. So it kind of stretches the toes, stretches the Achilles tendon, like bending those toes. That really good stretch. You could stay here if this is hitting something really good, or you can take your left hand, sweep up your left knee, and then slide up to that left ankle area. Sometimes right hand is able to circle around also, but if you can't reach it, no pressure, it's okay. Do not have to. This should be a quad stretch, so if you don't feel that, pull your knee backwards in here. And if your front foot it's sickling it too much, you can always flex that foot to make that ankle safe. So know that you always have that option. Good. So the last thing we'll do on this side before we switch is that foot can come around in front. So you could just grab onto it, hanging it low. You could take this foot on top of the other like a lotus pose. So if you're taking it all the way up, if it'll stay, you can bring hands to heart. Sometimes it's slippery, so if it doesn't stay, that's okay. You don't have to. You could even hug your hands around, grasping for wrist, and just kind of let the head be heavy again. Take 2 more breaths. And then from here, keep the shoulders in front for a moment. The left leg can drop all the way to the floor, reach it back toward that far reach again. And we're gonna aim for pigeon pose. So if you're leaning forward and you feel the hip opening a lot, great. This is a good spot to just stay. If you want to go deeper, slide some of the fabric off the glute and let it go back down toward the knee. Maybe even the shoulders lifting up just a hair so that you can feel that really deep hip opening. That works too, yep. 2 more breaths. Good. And then the foot that's on the ground, we're gonna hop it underneath our body weight. Safely rise up with your shoulders, grabbing on for safety. When your leg straightens back out, we're gonna take that leg out, so kind of make sure the fabric's not doubling itself over too much as you take it out. And if that right leg wants some attention, maybe you wanna roll around on the toes, let that hip have some action, some circles. Good, we don't always get that deep into the hip and into all that outer stuff, so. Beautiful, when that feels happy, you'll take the left side in. So double check your stance. If it's pulling back against you and you're struggling to stand, maybe hop forward so it just kind of floats right there. When you like your stance, dive hands into the center and then push elbows out. This will lift your leg right up to your heart. Starting to rise up. Now we're focusing on the side that's on the right. Our right hand grips about the heart area. Left hand grips up super high. So from that grip, we'll be able to turn open to the front door. The right toes turn to the right. Once we're there, bend at the waist. Maybe just pause it 90 degrees. Maybe the right hand continues to drop down to the floor. Maybe we hop that hand a foot or so forward and we sink into the fabric. Good, another deep belly breath all the way in. Nice exhale, bring your weight over your standing leg. Grip on for safety. Kind of bend the knee and then spring your way up. Rotate on your hip to face forward. And this one will want to be covered up to the glute. Once we're there, bend the knee, the toes swivel in. Dive both arms through the center. Whenever we get there, pick up your standing toes and set them as far toward the back of the mat as you can easily reach. And then maybe even rock forward on those toes. So get that real good stretch. Now you can always stay or quadricep stretch. Right hand scoops at the knee and then slides up the right foot. Sometimes left hand can join, but don't feel pressure. And if you don't feel the quad stretch, pull the knee backwards a little bit. Good, deep breath in, out. As you release, you can grab the foot in front of you. So maybe that right foot can come all the way up. Maybe you're just gripping it low. It doesn't have to go up. If it easily stays, maybe you're in lotus without hands. Maybe you're hugging around, clasping wrists behind and leaning forward. It's not a competition. It's just what helps you feel good, especially in some of those peripheral areas like the hip. Perhaps another good breath in and out. We can start to unwind if we bound ourselves up in a weird way. The foot can drop down, extending toward the back of the mat. And then if you want some of the fabric to slide off the glute down toward the thigh, that's a way to get nice and deep in the pigeon pose. Let's take another huge cycle of breath in. Nice exhale. When you're ready for that foot to hop underneath you, you'll bring that under your body weight. And then you can start to ease your way out. So stand up, grab on if you need to for safety, extend the leg back out, and slide this all the way out. Good. From here, we can play with straddle back inversion. If any of you know a different inversion that you want to do instead, like if you want to do another hip hang or anything, that's fine. But with straddle back inversion, it's just like what we did when we were sitting inside the fabric, only now the fabric is on the outside. So you'll bunch up the fabric, you'll take it right across your sacrum, so not quite your sitting bones, not quite your waist, it's that nice flat part of your hips. Once you're there, just one foot steps back, so that you can bend your knees and lean into the fabric. You're still pushing to make sure it doesn't rise up to your waist. But from here, just little tiptoes forward until we're under that front line again. And then hands up, knees wide, and then wrap the ankles. Good. Releasing the hands, you can just dangle down. So a lot of people come to aerial yoga for the inversion, so don't feel any sense of rush. Just enjoy this however long it feels good to you, and if you know variations, you're welcome to play with variations. If your head's done, just take a rest. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Those that are still upside down, keep on enjoying this. We've got even 2 or 3 more minutes before we would normally head to Shavasana. If you're out before others, just listen to your body. If there's last stretches your body wants you to do for the next minute or two, you can do any of those little stretches. So maybe there are things that we've done before, some of the circles, maybe it's something outside the fabric, like just a shoulder stretch or two. So anything that just feels good. And then when you're ready to be in that final resting pose, sooner or later, you can head all the way inside and just lay back. Yeah, you'll learn it eventually. Yeah, sometimes I teach those things. Today we didn't have quite enough time, but you'll get it. You'll get it. Still no rush if you're still exploring good things. When you're ready to head back in, take all the steps. You can wave the fabric left and right. Coming up to standing. You can come all the way inside. So just like we did at the beginning, just want to wave it out. And come up to the center. 5 grips or so. And head all the way inside. Lay all the way back when you get there. So when you get into that resting spot sooner or later, just let your muscles have a chance to relax. Let the breath go deep. Just kind of imagine that you're expanding outward. So maybe this is your breath, literally stretching outward, your side ribs directly into the fabric. Or maybe it's imagining with your eyes closed. Just imagine that you could see more and more and more space. It's like we're zooming out. Maybe it's almost like we're eventually seeing the whole city, eventually the whole world, eventually the whole solar system, and just continuing to expand outward. Maybe that's a beautiful way to have that much more expansive vision. So whatever it is that works for your mind, but is also extremely relaxing and just calming to be, that's the vision we'll try to take on. We'll just let that flow for the next few minutes, letting our body completely relax, being at ease. Begin to deepen the inhales. And the exhales. Introduce little movements back to the body, fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually taking a nice fetal position off to one side. One hip stacking on top of the other hip, the body stays long. Once you're curled off to the side like that, you're welcome to curl yourself in like a tight little ball. And then arc the spine back, going back and forth a couple of times, curling in, arcing all the way back. Almost like the cat-cow, waking up our spine with that big motion. Good, so maybe take one more to this side. Then switch sides, helping to balance out the body. Everything feels good there. Let yourself return back through the center. Beginning to work our way up toward a comfortable seated place. Once we're here, we can join our hands together in front of the heart. Have your gaze super soft, so it's not like you're really focusing on anything. And really see the peripheral vision, see everything that's outside. And see how when you shift your gaze, all the peripheral shifts also. You can't ever quite look at that peripheral area. So that's what the periphery is like there, and it gives us a bigger picture, but we don't really realize it because our brain just automatically fills it in. And so just in that exact same way, as we travel forward to the rest of our day, the next few beautiful days, maybe we can try to expand our vision outward like this, realizing a bigger, grander version of ourselves, living in a grander world, helping our world become grander. And with all this expansiveness leading us on, let's wrap up the time we got to share together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, and happiness, and peace. Namaste.